Dibrig tú go díon nó chánig tú go dtí an chathair seo, fuair his neart taithí agus d'urbar de chud scileanna. I ngacháte éigean tú, fecinn tú rud éige na chabhraigh tú a thógáil, ach inis tá tú ag féchant ar an todhchaí, agus beidir go bhfuil tú ag smaoinemh ar an áit as a dagan tú. In éireann, tastaíonn pleanálathe, siúnéirí, ploméirí, díanadóirí, inaltóirí, altíirí, banistóirí láithreáin agus níos móhain. Tastaíonn túhain, le do chud scileanna agus taithí go léir, chun cabhrúlinn na mílte tithe a thógáil. Tá an domhan tóga agat, a níos tar arás agus tógan teach a thóg tú. Tuile eolais ag gov.ie/Building Ireland. Teachtareacht ó rialtas na hÉireann.
This episode is brought to you by Paranormal Playback, a new podcast where hosts Shar, Mel and Laura recap the spooky and entertaining world of paranormal reality TV. Each week they take a fresh look at popular shows like Ghost Adventures and Kindred Spirits, blending humour with insight as they pull apart what's happening on screen. The three of them are a mix of believers and skeptics, which makes for really fun conversations, sometimes leaning into mystery, other times asking the questions viewers might be thinking themselves. With their background in creative production, they know how these shows are put together, so they're great at pointing out the moments that feel real versus the ones that might be more for the cameras. And their segment, This Old Haunt, digs into the true crime side of paranormal investigations, separating fact from fiction. With Halloween coming up, it's the perfect time to add something spooky, funny and a little addictive to your playlist. For even more spooky, ghostly, paranormal content with a humorous spin, go check out Paranormal Playback. Hello listeners and welcome back to another episode of Scary. If you're new here, my name is Will and I'm the host of this paranormal podcast where I narrate your real life paranormal experiences and also cover some paranormal cases along the way. As always, before we get into this main episode, I want to say a special thank you to our new Patreon subscribers who are Claire Baker, Matthew Foster, Joyce Keepert, Jane Parkinson, Debbie Robertson, Tyler Sleeth, Sasha Louise, Luke Downend, Mike Williams and Nick Frost. Thank you so much for signing up to the show's Patreon, and if this is something you're interested in, you can find the link in this episode's show notes, or you can simply go to patreon.com/scaryaparanormalpodcast, where you can gain access to ad-free main episodes and exclusive scary episodes.
Dibrig tú go díon nó chánig tú go dtí an chathair seo, fuair his neart taithí agus d'urbar de chud scileanna. I ngacháte éigean tú, fecinn tú rud éige na chabhraigh tú a thógáil, ach inis tá tú ag féchant ar an todhchaí, agus beidir go bhfuil tú ag smaoinemh ar an áit as a dagan tú. In éireann, tastaíonn pleanálathe, siúnéirí, ploméirí, díanadóirí, inaltóirí, altíirí, banistóirí láithreáin agus níos móhain. Tastaíonn túhain, le do chud scileanna agus taithí go léir, chun cabhrúlinn na mílte tithe a thógáil. Tá an domhan tóga agat, a níos tar arás agus tógan teach a thóg tú. Tuile eolais ag gov.ie/Building Ireland. Teachtareacht ó rialtas na hÉireann.
I'm Dr. Sarah Ray Hall, the founder and CEO of Armra. I developed Armra Colostrum because I know your body was designed to thrive. It's your natural state, your birthright, and you can reclaim it. Colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life, with every essential nutrient our bodies need. It's nature's original blueprint for health. After a devastating health crisis almost took my life, I made it my mission to harness this power. Using proprietary technology, Armra captures over 400 bioactive nutrients in every scoop, delivering over 1,000 benefits that transform your health at its foundation. Whether for gut health, metabolism, skin, hair, immunity, mood, energy, fitness, or recovery, I invite you to join this collective revival of health and discover radical transformation for yourself. Visit armra.com, that's ARMRA.com, and enter code HEALTH30 for 30% off your first subscription order. This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
But now, let's get into this week's episode. Not all castles are the same. Some carry whispers in their stone walls, others screams. And then there's Leap Castle, a place where the past has claws and it doesn't let go. Long before its grey walls towered over the hills of County Offaly, Ireland, the land beneath Leap Castle was already cursed. Locals say that the Druids held secret rituals here, ancient rites older than the castle itself, staining the soil with something dark and restless. The castle's very name hints at death. Lem y Vanon, the leap of the O'Bannons. According to legend, 2 O'Bannon brothers fought over their inheritance by leaping from a rocky ledge. The survivor would claim the land. Only one lived to tell the tale. That set the tone for what came next. In the 1500s, the O'Carroll clan seized the castle, a ruthless, power-hungry family known for betrayal. When their chieftain died without naming an heir, chaos followed. 2 brothers, one a warrior and the other a priest named Thaddeus, both vied for control. One morning, Thaddeus gathered the family in the chapel for mass, perhaps hoping to calm the storm. But as he began the service, his brother Tig burst through the door and drove a sword straight into his back. Thaddeus collapsed at the altar, a holy place soaked in blood. From that day on, they called it the Bloody Chapel. And the killing didn't stop there. In a chilling act of betrayal, the O'Carrolls once invited the McMahon clan, loyal mercenaries, to a feast of thanks. But instead of gold or gratitude, they were poisoned. All of them. Dozens of warriors died on their Leap Castle's roof, betrayed in the glow of candlelight. They say the O'Carrolls even built a hidden room, the murder hole, where family members were lured and slain in secret. Its exact location is lost to time, but its reputation never faded. By the 1600s, their bloodline was collapsing under the weight of its own violence. And though the Darby family took over the castle, they couldn't bury what had been done. Leap Castle had already earned its curse. Locals still whisper that Father Thaddeus never left that chapel, that his spirit remains, replaying the moment he was struck down. By daylight, Leap Castle's bloody chapel is just a roofless ruin, open to the sky, its cold stone walls worn by time. But at night, it becomes something else entirely. Locals have seen a reddish light glowing through the empty windows, as if someone still lights candles there. But the chapel has no electricity, no torches. They say it's the spirit of Father Thaddeus O'Carroll, still saying mass in the place where he was murdered, or reliving the final moment over and over again. Those brave enough to climb the spiral staircase to the bloody chapel often speak of a heaviness in the air. Not fear exactly, more like pressure, something ancient pressing in around you. Some have even smelled something awful, the stench of burning rubber or rotten meat, but nothing is ever there. No source, no explanation, just a foul stench. And then, in 1922, the chapel revealed its most horrifying secret. During renovations, workers discovered a false wall near the altar. Behind it, a vertical shaft plunging into darkness. An oubliette. A pit designed not just to imprison, but to forget. 8-foot wooden spikes lined the bottom, and impaled on those spikes were human bones. It reportedly took 3 cartloads to remove all the remains, Among them, a pocket watch from the 1800s, proof the pit had been used well beyond the medieval era, possibly into living memory. So the legends were true. The O'Carrolls hadn't just murdered, they built a trap, a hole in the floor beneath the chapel. Visitors would be dropped in alive, left to die slowly on the stakes below. Their screams, if anyone heard them, would echo up through sacred stone. Today, people who stand near the oubliette sometimes report a terrifying sensation, a sudden irrational urge to jump in, as if something in the dark wants company. And then there are the reports of ghosts. Visitors have seen a spirit in priestly robes near the altar, or a mist kneeling in prayer. Sometimes it's just a sudden drop in temperature, a breath on your neck. Some say it's still Thaddeus lingering in the spot where he fell, but others believe he's not alone. So many were slaughtered in this chapel, betrayed, poisoned, forgotten. People have reported hearing screams late at night, disembodied voices chanting in Latin, and paranormal investigators have emerged pale, shaking and unable to explain what they saw or felt. Some say the bloody chapel isn't just haunted, it's infected. One of these spirits has gained the name the Red Lady. She's been seen for centuries, a tall woman in a flowing crimson gown, long brown hair draped over her shoulders, and a dagger clutched tightly in her hand. Witnesses say she doesn't speak, she screams, twice, loud enough to freeze the blood in your veins, and then she vanishes. Some say she's vengeful, others that she's broken. Either way, she's clearly not at rest. But who was she? 2 stories survive, both equally tragic. In the first, she was a young woman captured by the O'Carrolls in the 1500s, a prisoner that ended up giving birth to a child, likely the result of violence. After her child left this world, they say she snapped. She took a dagger and ended her life. The second tale tells of a desperate escape. The Red Lady tried to flee her captors. Maybe she carried a dagger to defend herself, or maybe it was fear that gave her strength. But the O'Carroll men caught up to her in the dark halls and they killed her. 2 stories, 2 endings, both tragic. The Red Lady is often seen in the Blue Room, once a nursery. Maybe the very place where her child departed. Servants that opened that door have seen her standing there, motionless, face twisted in rage and sorrow. One famous sighting came from a Mildred Darby, a former resident of Lepp. She described waking in the night, drawn to the nursery by something unexplainable. Inside, she saw a woman in red sobbing over something invisible in her arms. A child, already gone. Mildred reached out instinctively, but the woman lifted her face. Her eyes were full of fury, and then gone. Others have seen the Red Lady drifting through the castle halls. Some hear her screams near the stairwells. One moment she's there, towering, tragic, and the next she melts into shadow. She doesn't try to hurt you, but you'll never forget her. 2 of the most enduring spirits at Lepp Castle are children, little girls, Emily and Charlotte. No one knows for sure who they were in life. Some say they were the daughters of servants, others believe they were part of the extended family during the 1500s. But whoever they were, they didn't live long. Emily is the older of the 2, around 11. She is most often seen near the battlements. That's where she allegedly died. They say she was playing, perhaps balancing on the ledge, laughing, chasing a toy when she slipped and fell. Visitors still report seeing her ghost, a little girl tumbling from the top of the castle, but just before she hits the ground, she vanishes. People rush forward thinking they've just witnessed a tragedy, but there's nothing there. Charlotte is younger, maybe 8 or 9. She's often seen beside Emily, limping slightly. Witnesses say she drags one foot as she walks, a twisted leg, a birth defect perhaps, maybe polio. Whatever it is, it marked her short life. She's seen wandering the halls, especially the main staircase, never running, always slow and always quiet. Sometimes guests feel a small hand slip into theirs while walking, but when they look down, there's nobody there. Or they'll hear laughter in the distance, light and playful, in a castle that should be empty. And a few people have even seen both girls together for a moment, wearing old-fashioned dresses, skipping together, unaware of the living watching them, it seems. But perhaps the most moving part of their story is her, the third spirit, simply known as the governess. She's described as a matronly woman in Victorian clothing, always near the girls. People have reported this figure shushing them. Others have reported feeling a hand on their shoulder, a warning to tread gently. She doesn't appear often, but when she does, it's always in moments of mischief or noise, as if still caring for her charges, still watching over them. Mr. Sean Ryan, the castle's current owner, has seen the toys left by visitors. Dolls, teddy bears, flowers, all gifts for the spirit girls. It's become a quiet tradition. At Leap Castle, there's something else. Something that seems to be older, darker, that doesn't walk, it looms. And it's been given the name the Elemental. No one knows exactly what it is, but those who have seen it never forget. Descriptions vary, but they share certain traits. A hunched figure about the size of a sheep, gaunt, grey, rotting. Its eyes, if they can be called that, are black pits, empty and decomposed. And the smell. That's what most people remember. Overwhelming, suffocating. The odour of something long dead and angry. Some say it's ancient, older than the castle, born from druidic rituals performed on this hill centuries ago. Others claim it was summoned deliberately, a curse unleashed by Gerald Fitzgerald, Earl of Kildare, an infamous occultist who attacked Leap Castle in the 1500s. It's said he failed to capture it by force, so he turned to witchcraft. He didn't get the castle, but he may have left something behind. Then again, maybe the Elemental was created by the O'Carrolls themselves. A spirit born of murder, madness, disease. Even some whisper it was once a man, an O'Carroll chieftain who died of leprosy. Whatever it is, it doesn't seem to have ever been human. For centuries, the Elemental was just a legend, until the early 1900s, when Mildred Darby, a novelist and a resident of Leap Castle, came face to face with it. One evening, as she dressed for dinner, she heard a scream. Not just a voice, but many, male and female, crying out in horror. She and her husband ran into the gallery above the main hall, and there, leaning on the railing, it waited. Mildred described it as about the size of a sheep, thin, gaunt, shadowy. Its face was human but distorted, as if rotting. And then the smell hit her, like a corpse dragged from the earth. She froze, couldn't breathe. Her husband Jonathan didn't believe in ghosts. He thought it was a prank. He yelled at Mildred, accusing her of dressing up one of the servants to frighten him. But as he shouted, the figure faded like smoke in the wind, gone. Later, the truth emerged. 2 servant girls had been showing soldiers around the castle when the Elemental appeared. They screamed, They smelled it and the next day they quit. They never returned. Mildred later wrote about the encounter in the Occult Review. The thing was about the size of a sheep. Its lustrous eyes, half decomposed in black cavities, stared into mine. The horrible smell came into my face, giving me a deadly nausea. It was the smell of a decomposing corpse. Some believe the elemental feeds on fear, that it only appears when summoned or provoked, and that it leaves behind sickness, confusion and dread. After the Darbys left Leap Castle in the 1920s, the elemental went quiet. The castle burned during the Irish Civil War, and the ruin was left alone for decades. In modern times, sightings are rare. Sean Ryan, who has lived at Leap since 1991, says he never encountered the elemental, but he warns visitors not to challenge it. Psychics, ghost hunters are all told the same thing. Do not provoke what you don't understand. Still, a few claims have surfaced. In 2006, a paranormal investigator reported a black figure and a wave of sulphuric smell in the old priest's house wing. They left without finishing the tour. They never returned. Leap Castle isn't just a ruin, it's a home, and somehow, despite its violent past, it's become a place where the living and the dead quietly coexist. Sean Ryan and his wife Anne have lived in Leap Castle since 1991. When they first arrived, the place was in ruins, roofs caved in, rooms uninhabitable. The scars of fire and neglect stretched through every corridor. But even in those early days, something made itself known. The spirits didn't like change. Sean was working alone one day up a ladder when something yanked him down. Not once, but twice. He knew what a slip felt like. This was different. Tools would vanish and turn up in strange places. Accidents stopped the renovations. It was as if this castle did not want to be disturbed. So one night, Sean did something few would think to do. He spoke aloud to the spirits. He told them he meant no harm, that he was restoring the castle, that they were still welcome here, and if they could live with him, he'd live with them. From that moment, the trouble that they experienced stopped. Today, Sean Ryan says Leap Castle houses 20 or maybe 30 spirits. Some are peaceful, some mischievous, but he treats them all with respect, and strangely they seem to return the favour. Like mentioned before, visitors to Leap Castle often feel something. One man, a tourist named Jason, was exploring the spiral staircase alone when he felt fingers grip his arm and yank him downward. No one was behind him. Later, in every photo his friends took that day, Jason's image was blurred, only his. The rest of the photos perfectly clear. Sean believes it might have been the governess spirit, the one that watches over Emily and Charlotte. She's known to touch visitors gently, as if guiding them or warning them not to stray too far. Other times the castle is less kind. Visitors have been shoved in the bloody chapel. Some have heard doors slam at 3 a.m. or felt their sheets pulled off in the dead of night. One woman woke to see a figure standing in her room, silent, still, watching, then gone. And yet Sean and Anne live here in peace. They know the stories, they've met the spirits, they've made their home among them. Leap Castle is open to visitors by appointment. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Scary, and don't forget, if you like this episode, you can hit that follow button so you don't miss any future episodes. Join me next time for another episode of Scary.
You've worked hard since you arrived in the city, gained loads of experience, developed your skills. Everywhere you look, you see something you helped build. But now, you're looking to the future. And maybe you're thinking about where you come from. In Ireland, we need planners, carpenters, plumbers, roofers, engineers, architects, site managers, and more. We need you, with all your skills and knowledge, to help us build thousands of homes. You've built the world. Now come back and build the home that built you. For more information, visit gov.ie/Building Ireland. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.